If you want, you feel free to log in too. That way you can test the features as we're going through them. I am an administrator, which means I have a lot more power than you do. So you may see things on my screen that you won't see, and there's probably a reason for that. But there's some stuff that I can turn on for you that you may not know. All right, you ready? Okay, cool. So one of the first things I was going to talk about is there are two pieces to OrgSync. There's the personal side, and then there's the organizational side. So again, do not hesitate to stop me if you already know what this stuff is, okay? So the personal side is along the top bar, okay? So this is basically, just give you some definitions. This is your community, UNT is your community, and then you've got, so when I say umbrella or community, I'm basically talking about the same thing, and it's just UNT as a whole, and all the organizations and everything is part of the community. So then your organization has a portal, and your portal is where you do all the business for your organization, okay? So those are just some definitions for you. So the top bar is pretty much personal stuff. Now you shouldn't have this because that's the administrative function, but up top is where you can see what portals you're in, so that you should see Circle K and any other groups that you're a part of, you'll see up there. And that's how you access those specific portals. And then under your, if you've got a picture up, if not, it's probably just blank, but this is some personal stuff. So if you were to click on your face and then just say new messages, it brings you into your personal side to OrgSync. So first thing is your profile, which you probably already filled out. If not, I mean, it's nothing that you have to do, but if you want to, you can. So it talks a little bit about, I have information about myself, and I'll show you where that comes into play later on. Your inbox, so basically you can send emails through OrgSync to your organization, and this is where all your emails are. So things that are sent through OrgSync, you see your own inbox, you can see what you sent. Your notifications basically just talk about what activity relates to anything you're tied to. So if you're tied to a form in OrgSync, and somebody has filled out that form, then you're going to get a notification about it, and then you can see them all here. Okay? And again, don't be afraid to ask questions. You can manage your notifications here. So what this means from a personal side is maybe you want, not a lot of people log into OrgSync frequently, so you might want to forward your messages that go in OrgSync to your personal email. So then you can enable or disable that. You can enable or disable text messages, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that does later on. I personally don't want to have text messages come to my phone, but a lot of students do, so you can enable or disable that. And then you can also enable or disable parts of your portal notifications. So if you want it every single time somebody does something in just say the Circle K portal, if you want to be notified about it, you can enable them. If you don't care and you don't want to see all those notifications, then you can get rid of it by disabling. Okay? So you can basically personalize it. Your privacy settings, publicly, you probably want to decide what you want out there publicly, what you don't. I personally don't want my cell and address out there, but I don't care that my email address is out there, so I've marked it accordingly. You can feel free to do the same. And you shouldn't need merge accounts or delete account at this point. So anyway, so that's that. Your inbox we talked about. Activity is pretty much everything related to your personal activity. So if you submitted a form, if you did something in OrgSync, it's kind of like do you have Facebook, I assume? Yeah. Your Facebook activity page, and it shows you what you've been doing. So anything related to you, any form related to you, or that you submitted, or maybe you didn't complete it and it's only halfway complete. So this is forms that have not yet been submitted. So these are forms that I started and just never go in and actually see the form you submitted and all the data. All right, so calendar is your personal calendar, but it also pulls information. So see on the left-hand side, all your portals. So these are my portals on the left. You'll have your organization portals. So you can filter your personal calendar. Now all the things from the umbrella or the community are automatically on there. Like you see all these non-trad things, those are things that we put up that are bigger events. But then you can also filter your personal calendar by the portal you're in. To-dos, are you familiar with to-dos?
No.
Okay, to-dos is a really cool function, and I'll show you how it works on the student organ. But basically, if you had a task that was assigned to you through OrgSync, it would tell you your personal to-do list right here. And I'll show you how to set one up for people later. Your involvement, so what you might not know is that UNT offers co-curricular transcripts. So what that means is, you know how you have a regular transcript with all your grades? Well, we can also print you an official transcript for all your involvement. So if you ever, when you graduate or you're trying to get a job and you want to show employers, hey, I actually was involved, I was the president of this, I did this, this, and this, so that they can see why they should hire you, and that it's not because you were just sitting around, like you actually did stuff and you did, you did well in school. We can actually print you an official report. Now, again, I don't know what yours says, but this should talk a little bit about, you should see some of your history of activity, and it would show certain events you got credit for and your organizations. And what you would do to request your transcript is you just come over here and hit the button, and the Center for Leadership and Service will get the request and they'll process it for you. Now, the benefit and what we encourage you guys to talk to your members about, if you can start using OrgSync as an organization, is the second somebody becomes a part of your organization, stick them in your portal, because then it'll start recording their involvement in the organization. So let's just say, though, you didn't do that, and later, 2 years later, you want to say that you were involved in something, then you can do up here this button that says Add Involvement Entry. Then you can submit, say, hey, I was actually a part of the Circle K Club starting in this year. It doesn't say that right now, and then we'll approve it for you, or if you actually did it, we'll approve it for you, and then it can go in your co-curricular transcript. But the benefit of getting all your officers and all your members in from the very time that they start the organization means that it automatically populates for you, because it's tracking which portal you're in and any officer positions you have, things like that. So anyway, that's kind of a cool function. And then the last function, one of the last functions I want to show you is this e-portfolio. Okay, e-portfolio is basically a electronic portfolio. So it's like a resume on the web page, for you. So I don't have mine completely set up yet, but when you get a chance, all you have to do is, fill out it pulls your biography from your profile. You can list your involvement activities. You can, talk about, hey, at UNT, I was this and this major and did whatever. You can list your employment. Documents is, let's just say you want to give a sample writing, a writing sample. So you wrote a paper and you want to show them that you're good with grammar and all that fun stuff. You can add files to this. You can also get recommendation letters and attach them. And in the end, after you fill the whole thing out, if you go view ePortfolio, you see your personal web page that if you want to give this URL, to a company, you basically have a resume online that has all your involvement and things like that. Are you here for OrgSync?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, we're just going to be talking. Technically, the room's closed, but if you want to stay, that's fine. But I'll be talking.
I will be here for a class at 6.
Oh, cool. Okay. So anyway, like I said, you just kind of pull them up, and this is what they see. Okay. So any questions about the personal side of OrgSync? Okay. Or if you want me to repeat something, let me know. So that's one menu bar, and then if you click on UNT, you go back to the community as a whole. And when you're on the community, you see a few things here. So this is kind of like Facebook, in this middle part down the middle, all these announcements, kind of like your news feed, basically, and that's coming in from either your portals and the community as a whole. So if we've got an announcement to make about, hey, your organization participated in homecoming, we'll post it and it'll go in your news feed. And then in this case, Homecoming Yell Like Hell was something that we posted in our own portal. You won't see it because it's just for our portal. So this is a news feed just for personalized for me. On the left-hand side, we've got some of the more common URLs for different departments that you may need. submit events later. If you're ever interested in getting involved in other organizations, this is where you look for them. Service opportunities won't be there much longer, so you can pretty much just ignore that. Okay, so that's the personal and the just community as a whole. So now we're gonna look at your organization. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you. You feel free to open Circle K. I'm gonna open up the talents because they use OrgSync a lot, and so they've got a lot of features that you might be interested in. Okay, so this is your portal's homepage. All right, and so if you click here, you see the news feed. So for everything that the talents are posting, so they posted an event, so it pops up in the news feed. Different events, different notes that they have, they can post, and I'll show you how to do each of those. So again, this is just portal information, just your student orgs information. People. So anyway, that's your home page. And I should mention all this stuff back here in your profile picture, that's all stuff that you can alter. So if you don't have anything up right now, you can always fix that. You can put your social media information up here if you'd like. So people. What OrgSync is mostly based off of. Do y'all use, do you have a lot of people in your portal?
Yeah,
You do?
but not a lot of them.
But you don't
are
use
members.
it? Okay. Oh, okay. Well, you might want to remove the people who aren't and try to get the people in. So the beauty of OrgSync is that every single thing that you do is based on permissions. So what I suggest you do, and what you can see the talents did, is one, you can see all people. So these, everybody in your portal, and you can see they've got quite a few, 81 to be precise. But then you also can create like groups. So let's just say you want your officer group to be in a, they're in there, they're a group, or maybe you have committees. So let's say you have the service committee is a group and the social committee is another group. You can put people who are in your portal in groups, and so the beauty behind all of this is everything is based on permissions. So you can give different viewing and editing permissions to each of the groups, so that someday if you just want to post a note for the officers, you can post it in OrgSync, say this is for officers only, and when they open up their feed, only the officers will see it. Joe random member will not. And so it goes like that with all the committees. So let's just look at, well, let's look at this. So if you want to, if you can, I'll show you different ways to invite people into your portal, but here's one way. You just invite people and you put their email addresses. So it's got to be the email address that's tied to their OrgSync account, though, which is usually their MyUNT address. And so what you do is, if you've got a list of members, you can stick them in here and invite them to come in your portal. But there are other ways for them to join. I'll show you that in a minute. So you just write their emails, say, hey, we want you to join, please join our portal. And then you send them the message. And it sends it to them, and they get a little message, and they have to click on a button that says join this group, or join this portal, and then they're automatically uploaded into your portal. All right? So then the other cool thing about if you have all your people in there is you can actually, you know how sometimes you want to create a sign-in sheet and you don't want to have to hand type it every time? If you have everybody in there, you can export all your whole roster into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you just create it by having a spreadsheet. And you just have them sign in and sign out on that roster that you print out from here. So let's look at all people. So to create a group, so let's just say you have the service committee. So you click on all people, and then it says create group here. There's a little, I can't see it very well on here. You would basically here, you type in the name of the group, and you hit create group, and it would create one. And then you can go and start assigning people to and they can be a part of as many groups as you want. So I can be an administrator, I can be an officer, and I can be part of the service committee. It's not like I have to be in just one. Okay? And so let's just look at one of their subcommittees. It's called alumni. So right now they only have 2 people in there. But the cool thing is once you have groups, you can actually send a message to just those people. So that's an email message, and you click this button and you just send a message. Again, you can export the roster of just this group. So maybe you have a subcommittee meeting and you want them to sign in, and you just export that roster for that group. You can make it private so that nobody else can see that the group exists. For whatever reason you want to do that. But anyway, so this is just kind of the idea of how these groups work. The cool feature is the whole send the message want you to have access to the calendar, but if you don't check it, then they don't have access to edit and do different things within those modules. So, okay. So you're basically able to give them permissions individually, but most of the time you do it by the group because that's just faster that way. All right, so that's people. Events is really cool because this is how you can create a calendar for the organization. So a member can never say, hey, when's the next meeting? Where's the next meeting? When's the next subcommittee meeting? If you all put all of your events on your own personal organizational calendar, everybody who logs in can see it. And again, you can create it by permissions. So if you don't care that everybody sees one of the events, you just limit it to maybe just administrators or just the officers or however you want to do that. So basically this calendar shows, if you see this little umbrella, that means it's an event that comes down from our office. And so it shows you, for example, this session right now. But then if you were to have, I don't know if they've submitted any other events, but if they submitted other events, they would show up on here too. And so the way you create an event is pretty simple. Event name, you can make categories if you want, and that color codes them. So if you want all meetings in red and all service opportunities in blue, you can actually create categories, and then it changes the color so that it shows real easily. So you can either do a one-time or repeating event. This is the starting date, what time, ending date, ending time, the location, and then you just write, hey, this is for all officers to do whatever, or this is this service opportunity. You can attach an image if you want. And then this is where you can either require an RSVP. So let's just say as many people as you want can come. So hundreds of people can show up and you really don't care how many. And you mark out no limit. But say it's the first 10 who apply. So maybe you've got a service opportunity. It's only 10 people are allowed. You click here, only 10 people, and it will take the first 10 people and close it after that for you. Or if you don't really care if people RSVP, it's just show up if you can. Then RSVP not required. Who can see this? Who can see people? That's like in Facebook, right? You can see, can everybody see who's coming or just the admins? So if you want everybody to see who's coming, you do that. Otherwise, just admins. Now this is where you restrict permissions. So if you want to send this to the community calendar for all UNT students to see, now it will come through us and we'll decide whether or not it goes on the general calendar. But most of the time, you're going to want to say, so in this case, I'm in the talents portal, so I would say I want it available only to the talents to see. Or if you want only specific committees to see it, then you mark these. Okay? And then, yeah, so then you just create an event and it'll pop up on your calendar. Let's see. This is a cool function. So I would imagine you guys have certain service requirements. So everybody needs 5 hours of this and 10 hours of this, right? They're going to have certain requirements. So attendance, if you create events of all those opportunities, you can actually track attendance. So and keep them in OrgSync. So for example, Talons has certain requirements that you have to do 5 games, you have to do 5 service hours, you have to do, the list goes on. And so the way they track it is in OrgSync. So this is just a view only at this point, but these are all the members, and this basically shows they attended 5 things, Margaret attended 12 things. When she's got an excused absence, it shows excused absences. It shows, so if you have a meeting, this shows basically who was there and who wasn't. And this is all stuff that you can track within OrgSync, and they can actually see it themselves, so they know how they're doing. And they can see, oh, I still need to get 5 more hours of this. So anyway, this is just the view only mode, and I'll show you how to actually input stuff in a minute. Okay. And then export is kind of cool because you can, just like everything else in OrgSync, you can pull reports. So if you wanted to run a report on this paper, or who's coming to an event to see, so you can again print a list. These are the people who are supposed to be at this event. Here's the sign-in sheet. You just print it straight from the event, and it says who's coming. Files. Oh, any questions about events? That's pretty self-explanatory. Okay. Files. Files are, think of it as they're not editable. So these are basically documents that your organization has that are important that you want to make sure get passed down from year to year. We have so many people come to us saying, I don't know where my constitution is, we can't find it, or last year's officers didn't give me any paperwork, I don't know what again, when you see the umbrella, that means stuff that we've put in there for you. So if you ever get stuck, I'm pretty sure we got these updated, but if you ever get stuck, we've actually put these OrgSync how-to guides in here. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how ePortfolio works or how forms work, we put these in here for you so that you can just do a little PDF walkthrough of how these functions work. All right, so it's real easy to add a file. If you want to upload your constitution, you just click add a file, find the file, call it something, describe it, again, show who can see it so that maybe you don't want everybody to see it, and then add it. All right, so that's files. Any question about files? Okay, forms is probably the most used function. Have y'all used forms for anything? Okay, so do you want me to walk through any pieces of forms?
Yeah, you can stop.
Okay, yeah, it won't take too long. But again, when you see the umbrella, that's our forms that are available to you. So when you needed to sign up for orientation to get registered, this is our form for that. If you ever need an Eagle mail sent out on behalf of your organization, here's the form to do that.
Was that for the announcements?
Mass emails that go to the student body. Yep. There are some rules about it, but the rules are on the form. So on the form, it talks about the rules. And if you read the rules and you feel like you apply, then you begin the form and fill it out, and then we send it out. So let's see. So again, there are community forms, the umbrella, but then you can also make your own forms for just your portal. So let's just say, okay, so here's one of the talents forms, and you can tell because it doesn't have the umbrella next to it. So they made this form. And if you want, because right now automatically all the umbrella forms I think jump to the top, or the most used forms or the most frequently used forms pop to the top. But if you want, if you have your own personal form, if you hit the pin, it pins it so that it jumps to the top, so that people don't have to go searching for it everywhere. Okay, then I'm gonna just unpin it since this is not my portal. So let's see. To create a form, let me just show you some of the functions of it. It's pretty cool because here's a form name. So let's just say you want, if you have an event and you want people to sign up for an event, you probably just create an event. But let's just say you wanted to, let's just say at the beginning of every semester you're gaining new members and you want to create like a new member info sheet, right? You have something like that, or anything that people sign up for that's not an event. You can create a form for something like that. And so, this would be new member information, fall 2014 new member information sheet. And you describe a little bit about what it is. This is for new members only. They fill it out at the end of the semester and things like that. All right, and then you create a page, and this is you add. So when you can either add text blocks, which is basically just you're talking about stuff, or you can add a them, say for example, you want them to upload a resume for some reason. Maybe you look at resumes or transcripts to decide who your members are. You can make one of the questions be something that they have to upload a document. So you can just click upload, and then you can say, upload your resume here, and then you would just do that on their end. If you want it to be required, fine. Let's see, additional options. So maybe you need them to say, I agree that I'm not going to hold you accountable if I get hurt, like a waiver or something like that. You so this one student has some pending hours. She went to a game and she got 3 hours of credit, but the person who's in charge of this hasn't yet approved or denied those hours. So as an administrator, you come in and say, yep, she went to those, I was there, I saw her, approve, and then it would give her credit for it. So these are the hours she's actually gotten credit for already. So she went to this basketball game, she attended, she got 2 hours of credit. And if you need to go back later and edit or delete it, you can do that too. So anyway, this is how to track different activities in your organization, of all the members of your organization is through. And this is where I said you can either add it for them or they can ask to add something for themselves. And then it will send it to whoever you say to send it to for them to approve or deny those hours. So let me just give you a few more tidbits here. To-dos, so remember in the beginning I showed you have a personal to-do list. Well, this is how you create to-do lists. So let's just say you're planning a service event, and I actually started one here to show you. But just say you're running a committee and you have a list of 10 things the committee needs to do to plan an event. I need you to get ice, I need you to get flyers up, I need you to get stuff like that. So you can create a list, in which case we'll just use mine, CMC test. So this would say CMC test instead say for you event planning checklist or something like that, right? And then you can add a task. So what that is so in that to-do list, you say I want to assign this to somebody. So here's the task. Task title: go get ice. Right? And then you can say when it's due. So I want it due tomorrow. This is pretty high priority because it's due tomorrow, right? And then you assign this task and you say, I want Elena to take care of this. And if you click her, I'm not going to do it because it'll actually send it to her. If you click her, then it'll put it on her personal to-do list. And so she will always see like these tasks she was assigned to do. And what ends up happening is she goes in then, when she gets ice, she says, I've completed this. And then you as the committee can say, oh, she's completed this task, so that there's no follow-up needed. And you know either by her saying that she did it or not, that she actually accomplished the task. So anyway, you can create a bunch of to-do lists based on whatever you want to have done. I'm going to delete this one just so that they don't see it. All right. So anyway, if you create a list, then you start creating tasks and assigning it to you. The treasury. Do y'all have dues, I assume? Okay, let me show you a few of these functions in the treasury. We're kind of running out of time, but I'll give you some general insight, and if you want more information, I'm happy to talk to you about that. So, so OrgSync doesn't hold your money in a bank account, but it allows you to track it. So if you start out the year with $5,000 and you have $100 in dues income, you would say we have $100 and you add it into your checkbook, like your electronic checkbook. And if you spend $50 on an event, then you subtract it out. And so it basically manages all of your bank account so that you have like an electronic checkbook basically. And again, you can give different permissions for who to see that or not. Invoices. So let's just say if you get all your members in OrgSync and it's time, dues are due on October 30th, you can send out invoices within OrgSync to the people who owe their dues. So you can say new invoice, and you say, Bob, Cindy, and Joe, you owe us for dues. So you can send an invoice, and within OrgSync it sends them this like little electronic invoice. And all they do is then they click on the invoice and they pay through that invoice, and it tracks it, and then it tracks it for you. videos, just like pictures, if you want to put any videos up for people to see later on, you can do that. It doesn't actually load the videos in OrgSync, it just embeds them from like YouTube or some other link that you have. So it doesn't actually store the videos. And then lastly is, do y'all have a webpage?
No.
Okay, well if you're interested, OrgSync allows you to create a free webpage for your group. So if you want more details on that, I can maybe help you separately, but you just go to website and it helps you build a website. It's not the most beautiful website in the world, but it's free and it works. So especially if you have more web page savvy people, they can make it prettier than just like I could. It would just look kind of tacky, but they can actually something.